Mary Lurson.
What a way to start a morning. Isn't that amazing? What great musicians. And it's a little early for jazz musicians, right? A little bit early? But you never know. I just want to spend a few minutes to chat with Bernie and Jonathan, thank this wonderful band. Jonathan, you said so many great things along the way about the importance of music education and how you all met. I'd like to know how Jonathan and Bernie met. How did that all happen?
Bernie?
Sure. First of all, good morning, everybody here. Yeah, it is a little early.
It is for jazz musicians, right?
But yes, about 2.5 years ago, I graduated from the Manhattan School of Music with a degree in jazz performance. And as part of my tenure there, I had to attend to different combos and groups. And we were actually playing together in the Afro-Cuban ensemble, big band. And yeah, we had some great times there, playing some great Latin music, under the leadership of Mr. Bobby Sanabria. And then we struck a friendship. We started just kind of talking about music, and he actually interviewed me for one of his series on music education and music in general. So yeah, I mean, we've been good friends ever since. We kind of keep a correspondence, and I'm aware of what he's doing in the music scene right now, and I'm very proud and honored to say I played with that guy when we were in school. So yes, really cool.
Yeah. How about you, Jonathan? What was?
Bernie, I'm going to tape that and play that every morning for the rest of my life. That's very, very kind of you. The truth, though, is that I was very much admiring Bernie at Manhattan School of Music. He was the only guy with television cameras following him from room to room. But it's true. Bernie and I played in the Afro-Cuban ensemble, and I ran was the producer of some series at Manhattan School of Music called Beyond the Practice Room, and got to sit down with Bernie for over an hour and talk about his life. And it's one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard. Thanks again for making time for that.
And can we find that interview online?
You can.
Tell us where we can find that interview.
It's www. I'm not sure the link,
it still
but
there?
It's still there. You probably want to search it through Manhattan School of Music.
All right, we should do that and post it up there. That'd be wonderful.
Absolutely.
So what are you doing here at the NAMM show? What's the experience for you?
Well, for us, it's been fantastic. When I say us, I speak for myself and the band. We flew out from New York a couple days ago, and just the minute that we were here, I mean, there's so many staff. It's such a large experience. We've never seen anything quite like this. The sound help, and this would be a great time to thank all the people who make this possible. It's been fantastic. Really, I mean it. We've gotten to go around from booth to booth. We've checked out all the concert halls, the Yamaha Grand Plaza stage, all those. It's economies of scale. It's happening on such a large scale. I've never quite seen something like this, so thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And Bernie, what have you been doing here at the NAMM show? You've had some extra duties.
Yes, I have some extra duties that have been imposed to me by the, the NAMM Association. I'm actually very proud to say that I am part of the board of directors of the NAMM Foundation. And it's been a relationship that I've had with the NAMM Association for now probably about 10 years now. We've been doing, I started coming to the NAMM show as a so-called incognito guy, just checking all the gear and all the new things that were happening. And I made a connection with Mary Lurson at one of the Save the Music, VH1 in New York. And we have this connection with NAMM, and then I started getting more involved doing the fly-ins into Washington, D.C., advocating for music and arts education. And I have been sucked into this wonderful world of music, which is totally different from where I came from. A lot of competition and cutthroat and just being the best, hitting baseballs and I don't know. But this has been such a blessing for me. We were talking about, our next fly-in is going to be in May. talking about the importance of music and arts education in our schools. Thank you, thank you. And I said it, and I will not be tired of saying it. Of all the things that I've accomplished in the world of sports, to me, this is the part of my life that I take the most pride, because I utilize music, believe it or not. I started playing music when I was 8 years old. I started playing the guitar, and I went to a performing arts high school, and all the things that I learned as a musician, a young musician, my discipline, my commitment to excellence, my working on music and trying to get something done with my instrument, all those things, and the reward that I got from all that effort, all those things, I was able to apply it into my training as a professional baseball player with the New York Yankees. So you may think that those things may not be related, but they were very present in my life, and music was always a very important thing in my life. So I am where I need to be right now, and I'm so glad that I'm able to share my story with you guys, and let's see what happens in the next future with the music education and trying to drive it and say how important it is for our kids in this nation. Thank you.
Are we lucky to have Bernie with us? Thank you. Really great. So we're gonna let the Bernie and this great band go in just a minute, but I want to know what's next. What's next for Jonathan, and what's next for you? We always love what's the life of a musician. Here
Sure.
at NAMM. Where is it tomorrow? Where are you going next?
Well, we're flying back to New York in about, very soon. And we're playing at Bruno Walter Auditorium at Lincoln Center on Valentine's Day. So if you're in New York, come say hello, please. And Bernie?
Yes, I have a really, really cool thing that I'm going to be a part of 10 days from now, February 5th. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of Jackie Robinson's birthday at UCLA. He was an advocate for music and jazz and arts, and I was invited to be part of the event. Dave Koz is going to be playing, Arturo Sandoval is going to be playing. I'm going to be performing a couple of tunes, so it's one of the cool things that I get to do as a musician right now, so I'm very excited about that.
And I think just before that, you're at Lincoln Center too, right?
Yes, Lincoln Center, yeah, on the 28th. This is going to be a tribute to Michael Brecker, a concert called the Nearness of You concert. I'm the only guitar player in that house band, and we're going to be backing James Taylor and Patty Austin and Hugh Hackman, from Broadway, doing a couple of his tunes, and that's probably the biggest gig that I've ever had as a musician right now, so I'm freaking out, but I'm very excited about it too.
Let's thank these wonderful musicians and Bernie, all that you do. Thank you. We'll let you go. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Well, like I said, what a great way to start the NAMM show, and we thank you all for being here for our grand rally for music education. Our grandest rally of all, right? When we started our gatherings here, my staff came to me and said, what are we going to call this? The Forum for Music Education. And, it just kind of came to me from somewhere that this was a rally that people gather together here at the NAMM show once a year to reaffirm our commitment to music education and our goal for music education for all children everywhere. So thank you for being a part of it. We're going to have a beautiful program that started out with this great group. I want to remind you that we are broadcasting live on the homepage at namm.org. Now you need to get out your social media and let people everywhere know about this. We're at namm.org. We're on Facebook Live at Intertalk Radio. And I think where hashtags are going to come up here that you can let everybody know that where we are and that you're participating with us. But one thing we always do at our support music and our NAMM Foundation events is we let everybody out there in the world know that we're here. So the lights are going to come up, the cameras are going to pan, and what are we going to do? We're going to give a shout out from the NAMM show and the Grand Rally. Go! Yay! think that's the best shout out we've ever had. You get an A+ out of that. Fantastic. There's a lot of great things happening here at the NAMM Show, our third day here in Anaheim, California. But one of the most special things is actually taking place right here today. You know, we all live through things that are challenging in our life. We live through moments of sadness. We live through moments of tragedy. And music has a way of lifting us up and bringing us together. So joining us today here at the NAMM Show is a gathering of high school music students that have come to us as part of the Butte County United Choir. And this is the communities that were dramatically impacted by the fires here in California, Paradise, California. Their music teacher, Sam Gronseth, has joined together and put this choir together from multiple school districts. And wherever you see a tie-dye shirt, that's one of these wonderful students that are here. Stand up and thank you for being with us. Bravo. And we thank all the parents and all the teachers and all the chaperones that have traveled with them from Northern California to be here with us to participate in this grand rally. And tonight, they're going to open up the L.A. King concert on the Ground Plaza with their own performance. So we thank you so much for being here, for inspiring us, and remember that music can carry you forward no matter what happens in your life. And we're so proud of you for being, and so proud of your community and grateful. We have so much to be thankful for this morning. You know, we're going to be singing together. Think of that. We're going to have a mass choir. I want to thank so much our NAMM members who have supported us in this effort, the Hal Leonard Corporation, GIA Publishing, and Note Flight. Without their help and the wonderful support of Eric Whitacre and his team, we could have never pulled this off. So we're going to have a moment together. We want to make sure that you share it with everybody out there in the webosphere and that we can participate together. You know, there's a couple of bylines in this work right now that are spinning around about people that are trying to make a better world or change the world or improve the world. And one of these phrases is collective impact. And somehow you're not kind of doing the work the right way if you aren't organizing around collective impact. Well, I sit and I look at this phrase and I look at examples of this other work around the country and around the world, and I kind of go, you know, I think we get collective impact. I think we're doing collective impact. You can call it what you want, but I think we kind of feel collective impact as a community that's committed to music. And I think all of you need to own that, and you need to own your role in that experience of advancing music education opportunity for people of all ages and all abilities, and that every school is a vibrant place full of music learning. And your role in all of that is to speak with relentlessly positive intention about the value of music education, to celebrate it at every turn, and to speak to people who have power and influence and decision makers about the role of music making. And if you all do that once before school is out, you will make a difference. So I challenge all of you today to take from this grand rally not only the great inspiration of being together and the great music we're going to make together and the great music you're hearing at the NAMM Show, to remember that we are united to do one really important thing, is to make sure every child has the chance to learn and grow with music. And I thank you for all that you're doing and all that you're contributing to that. So one thing we also can't forget, we must remember, is that we need to make music ourselves. Collective impact starts from who we are and what we believe in and what we want to do as people. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm thrilled, through the help of Hal Leonard and GIA and No Flight, that we're going to be able to sing together, have this wonderful Butte County choir together to help us sing. But you can't do it without a leader. And you can't do it without someone who's inspired people all over the world to sing and make music through his remarkable compositions and his wonderful ability to lead people as a conductor. So, what we've all been waiting for, please welcome composer-conductor Eric Whitacre. Take the stage.
Okay. Woohoo! What's up? It's Saturday morning. What are we all doing here? Good morning, everybody. I'm Eric. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm truly grateful to be spending Saturday morning with you, even though I'm thinking about bed. But really, it's where to begin? I didn't begin my life as a choir geek. I began my life, I guess I had some ability. I played by ear when I was a kid. I hated piano lessons. I didn't want anything to do with them. And really my first and biggest love was astrophysics and computer technology. This was in the middle 80s or so. I don't know if there's any mid-80s kids out there, maybe, way in the back. You can still hear my voice, excellent. And I had a Commodore 64 computer, and I learned to program BASIC, and really it was computer. I just was obsessed and fascinated with computers. I was that kid who would go in at lunchtime every day and work on computers instead of being out, outside with his friends. And computers led me to computer music, and I learned about a composer named Jean-Michel Jarre, and Tangerine Dream, and Kraftwerk, and then finally this group called Depeche Mode. Yeah, and then it all clicked for me, and I figured that's what I'm going to do. I'll be the 5th member of Depeche Mode. I'm still trying to become the 5th member of Depeche Mode, if anybody's wondering. And I spent my entire high school career writing pop music. I had synthesizers and drum machines, and I had Aquanet and did the hair like this. And genuinely, I thought that's what I would do with my life. And then when I went to school, I did my bachelor's degree at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I grew up in Nevada. And yeah. Is that you, Marcia? Hey, Marcia. Mwah. Hey, baby. Yeah, the only reason I went to UNLV was because it was the state school furthest away from my parents at the time. But there at the time, I auditioned for a music scholarship. I just played. I didn't know how to read music even then. I just sort of played something on the piano. And the choir director, this man named David Weiler, was in the room, and he said, "Why don't you come sing for me?" And I came over and sang, and he instantly saw that I couldn't read music, but that I seemed to have a passion for it and a decent ear. And he invited me to sing in the big choir. Any of you who are choir geeks know there's the really elite snob choir, and then there's the choir where you just have to have a pulse, all right? So I got to be in the pulse choir. And on this first day of rehearsal, I came in about a week late, I guess. And so the first day of rehearsal, we started with the warm-ups, right? You know, you do the back rubs and massaging your face. I've never been more embarrassed for humanity in my entire life. And he says, "Let's open to the Kyrie." And I didn't know what a Kyrie was. I was raised not as an atheist, but just really without religion. And so I was standing amongst the basses, maybe 100 people in this room, and I look over my shoulder, all right, the Kyrie. And David steps up onto this podium, and he raises his arms, and boom, and we launch into the Kyrie from the Requiem by Mozart. And if any of you know this piece, you know it starts with the basses, right, the fugue part. So we sing Kyrie, and then the altos, sopranos, tenors, right? And within 30 seconds, I found myself standing in the middle of this cosmic Swiss watch. This level of complexity and intelligence and humanity that until that moment I didn't know existed. And I remember very clearly, I didn't sing a note. I just sort of stood there. And then I did what I always do when music hits me in the body. I still do this. I started to giggle, like this. And then I started to tremble, and then tears rolling down my eyes. I just standing in the middle of this room as if my entire life my name had been Eric, but now somebody was saying, "This is your real name. This is your actual name." And looking back on it now, I think it was more than just the experience of hearing Mozart and all of these voices together. I think really what it was for me, for the very first time, I felt part of something larger than myself. And I left that room absolutely transformed. I joined every choir I possibly could. I became president of the choir social club. and then 3 years into my 7-year undergraduate degree. Thank you. Took a couple victory laps there. I decided that I was going to try to write my very first work for choir, my first classical piece of music, and give it as this very humble gift to this teacher, David Weiler, who had changed my life. And it was a simple setting of a piece called Go Lovely Rose. And we handed it out in class, and we all sang through it together. And hearing my brain and my heart and my soul somehow in the breaths and hearts and brains and souls of other people, that's when I knew this is my vocation. I don't know how I do this, but I have to do this for a living. I have to make music and share music and just be a part of this thing, this community. And so finally, at the end of my 7 years, I thought, okay, I really need some training now. I'd finally learned to read music, and I was told by my advisors that my grades were so bad that there was no school in the country that would accept my application, and that it was a good lesson for me to learn to put my nose to the grindstone and not buck the system. So I went to the library. We used to have these things called libraries. And I opened up the big book of graduate schools, and I looked for any school that would accept my application without a GPA, only my portfolio. And the only place I could find was someplace in New York called the Juilliard School. I didn't know what it was. I honestly thought it was a French school, the Juilliard School. Maybe they teach cooking there or something. But I applied, I went out, and I got accepted, and I ended up doing my master's degree at the Juilliard School. And around this time, I also started to conduct. I have no formal training in conducting, but at some point as a composer, I just became a control freak. I sat in the audience and thought, well, I can do this as well as that guy's doing that. So I started to conduct, and that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years. It's writing music and conducting music. And it's one of the great pleasures of my life to be able to stand in front of you and say somehow I've been able to follow my dream and live my vocation. The job of being a composer is a very, very strange one, especially when compared to being a conductor. Conductor's all splashy and extroverted, and you're in front of an audience. Composer, if I'm being very honest, you just spend most of your day in a room in your underwear, pulling on your hair and thinking, if I would have studied harder, I could have been an architect or had a real job or something. And you're pushing notes around and trying to find magic, steal a little fire from the gods. And then this piece, like a child, it goes out into the world. And you know, the best you know about a piece is the royalty check. You know, some children are successful and they send back checks every 3 months. We love those kids. And so some kids nobody wants to play with, you know, so it's like, come here, daddy loves you. But until recently, and especially with the advent of social media, you never really knew the impact that your music as a composer was having on individual people out there in the world. So it's now 9 years ago. A friend of mine sends me a link to a YouTube video, and he says, you have got to see this. And in it is this young woman named Britlin Losey, who at the time was only 17 years old. And she had made a fan video to me. She didn't know me. She was just singing the soprano line to a piece I'd written called Sleep. And uploaded it hoping it would find me like an electronic message in a bottle. And it did. And here's a little bit of Britlin's video.
Hi, Mr. Eric Whitacre. My name is Britlin Losey, and this is a video that I'd like to make for you. Here's me singing Sleep. I'm a little nervous, just to let you know. If
I thought Britlin's video was one of the most beautiful things I'd ever seen. You have to remember, at this time, YouTube was about 3 years old, and it was just the Wild West. I mean, it's still the Wild West, but but something like that just didn't happen that often, where somebody could reach out across a distance like that and grab you by the heart. And I found her voice so pure and innocent, but also her intention so pure and innocent. And watching her video, I had this idea that if somehow I could get 25 people to do what Britlin was doing, if they sat alone in their dorm room or their living room, and They were singing in the same tempo, same speed, right? And singing in the same key, whatever their part was, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. If they just uploaded those videos to YouTube, and then I literally started them all at the same time, just let them run together, that this choir would have to unfold, right? This virtual choir. That was the idea. So the first big challenge came, how do I get everybody to sing at the same tempo? So I uploaded this video along with the sheet music to a piece called Lux Aurumque that I'd written. Lux Aurumque, you see it up there in the left-hand corner. It, in Latin, simply means light and gold. And the idea was the singers would download the sheet music for free. They would study it, and then they would watch my conductor video here and sing along to it. Now you see there's no sound to it, right? Because there's no choir yet. So basically I stood in the studio and did this entire take of the perfect version in my head. I can tell you that the people in the studio that day thought I was totally insane. And I uploaded it really having no idea if anybody would try this. At the time, I think I was just started using Facebook. I had my website. I don't think I was tweeting yet. Certainly no Instagram at that point. And I just sent out to everybody who was following me, okay, gang, I've got this idea. Let's try this. Who's in? And lo and behold, singers started uploading their videos. This is Cheryl Ang from Singapore. This is Evangelina Etienne from Massachusetts. This is Scott Hansen from Sweden. And this is Jamal Walker from Texas. There's even a little soprano solo at the beginning of Lux Aurumque, and so I had auditions. I think about 30 sopranos uploaded their videos, and I chose Melody Myers from Tennessee. Just effortless, right? I don't know if you can read the top comment. It says, "You melt my face off." Indeed. YouTube, the poetry of our time. All told, we had 185 different singers upload videos from 12 different countries. And suddenly I'm sitting here with all of these video assets. I know nothing about video editing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. So I blogged about this on my website, and this young man named Scott Haynes, who at the time was only 21, reached out from the crowd and said, "This is the project I've been looking for my whole life." He was also a choir geek and a video editor. I wrote back to Scott and said, "I've been looking for you my whole life." Scott took all the videos, and over about 3 months' time, he aggregated them, so put them into soprano, alto, tenor, bass by region. And he did some video editing. Most importantly, what he did was the audio editing. So you can hear, even in the videos that I showed before, the individual videos, there's some hiss in the background, from computers or from air conditioning. That stuff is relatively easy to get out. You can just compress it or EQ it out. But in some of the videos, you could hear grasshoppers or sirens. That stuff has to come. We had one video where you could hear the kid's mother in the other room saying, "What are you doing in there?" with the singing. All of that had to be cleaned up, and I guess 3 months afterwards, we uploaded Virtual Choir 1.0 to YouTube, Lux Aurumque. interest of time. Thank you. Thank you. Before I go on, how many of you have been in the virtual choir? Any virtual choir members out there? Yes, there will be more next time, I hope. So we upload this video, and really I thought only our little circle of choir geeks would be interested in this at all, but it went viral, and we had a couple million views in the first week, and suddenly it got picked up by the international press. I did some interviews, and we were flooded with emails and posts on Facebook and now on Twitter, people saying, what is this? When is the next one? How do I be a part of this? We had not planned at all on a next one. So about a year and a half later, we decided to post another piece that I'd written called Sleep. So Virtual Choir 2.0, Sleep. This time, 2,052 singers from 58 different countries. And the countries, it was amazing. There were singers from all over America, from Europe, from Pakistan and India, from Iran, Iraq, from Jordan, Libya, Syria, Israel. There were 7 countries on the African continent, as far north as the Great Alaskan Bush and as far south as New Zealand. Almost overnight, our little choir had become a world choir. And still, the messages started coming in. This is amazing. I'm a singer. Here's my story. I have to be a part of the next one. So a year and a half later, we launched Virtual Choir 3.0 with another piece that I had written called Water Night. 3,746 singers from 73 countries. And we were starting to hear these remarkable stories about what brought people to the virtual choir and what the experience was like for them. So on my website, we made a place where people could post their testimonies, and some of the stories were extraordinary. There was a young woman who had been singing with her mother in choirs since she was a small child, and her mother was dying of cancer in hospice. And so she recorded her virtual choir video like this, holding her mother's hand just off screen as a tribute to both of them. There was a man who sang in choirs when he was young, but then had gone legally blind, and for the past 30 years hadn't been able to sing in a choir. Now, for the first time, he could get close enough to his computer screen to see my conductor video. He was able to join the choir. There was a young man from Cuba who desperately wanted to join, but because of government regulations, could send an email file no larger than 1 meg. So we got our tech team together with him and taught him how to cut it all up. He sent us 26 1 meg files. We stitched it back together. Cuba became part of the virtual choir. Just this last November, we launched our most ambitious project yet for the virtual choir. We teamed up with the Space Telescope Science Institute and NASA. I got to live out my childhood dream and just go geek out with scientists a lot. And inspired by the Hubble telescope, I wrote a piece called Deep Field, and the end has this virtual choir. I'll play just a little bit of that now. This is over 8,000 voices from 123 different countries. I'll stop it here, not only in the interest of time, but because if those of you who can stick around afterwards, we'll show the entire deep field film. After it's a 23-minute film. It's staggeringly beautiful, made up of images from the Hubble telescope. I guess in closing, I never could have imagined that this would be my life. If you would have told a little 17-year-old Eric Whitacre that, yep, you're going to be singing with people all over the world. You'll be looking into hundreds of thousands of faces, both in real time and both virtually. I couldn't have believed it. I know for me as a person, on a very personal level, I feel like a stone that's being slowly and softly polished in this river of humanity, every time I get a chance to work with somebody. One of the things that rarely gets talked about with the virtual choir is that we get to see the virtual choir before it's made, before the sausage is made. And what that means is each singer that records their video, imagine now 25,000 singers total over all these projects, they sit down in front of their camera, and then what they do is they get ready. So you see them put it on their lipstick, they get their face, their hair, and then they do this, and then they hit play, they're ready, and then they sing. It's great. That part is my favorite part. But I'll tell you why it's my favorite part, because you can see each person, no matter who they are, where they are from around the world, they sit down and they're wearing, or they're literally putting on the mask that they carry throughout the day. And then there's this moment when here comes the cue, they take that breath, and you see their essential self. You see them become themselves right in front of the camera. It gives me chills every single time. And I think it's one of the fundamental reasons that singing is so magical and why it is essential, why we should sing together. There's hard data now that shows that when we sing together, when we make music together especially, but it's really when we sing together, all kinds of good things happen. Stress hormones go down, joy hormones go up, we bond in a hormonal way. We teach empathy, we teach compassion, we teach language skills, we become better citizens. Sorry, this is now my soapbox. Again, as a 17-year-old, I never could have imagined that I would be up here advocating, but I really feel passionately about this. And really, I think the ultimate goal is so that we can move through the world really knowing in our souls that we are part of something much, much larger than ourselves. Thank you so very, very much.
We're both a little emotional up here. And
Yeah.
I'm not even sure why.
Because we're exhausted, I think. It's Saturday morning. What are we doing here?
Right. Well, one thing, Eric, we just wanted to share with you. At the NAMM Foundation, every now and then, maybe once or twice a year, we have a little award that we share with folks. And it's called the Support Music Award. And it's an award that we've given mostly to members of Congress. And now we're going to give one to you. So there's a lot of reasons why we want to give this award to you, and you've just sort of articulated them, all the beautiful things that you said about the way music brings us together. It makes us more fully human, it unites us across boundaries and barriers. But I want to add a special note that you are really bringing beauty to this world. And on behalf of all of us at NAMM, all of us here in the room, and the great experience we're soon to have when we're going to start singing with you,
Yeah.
we're proud to give you the NAMM Foundation Support Music Award.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And now, right on cue and right on time, comes the centerpiece of this program, which is some music, live music. I'll let you introduce the first piece, the choir,
Yep.
and then hold on to your seatbelts, because it's all going to be all about us together. So have fun.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you. Okay, gang. So first, before we do anything, will you please welcome to the stage the extraordinary Riverside City College? Come on stage, gang. John Byan right here is a dear friend and is their conductor. We've done so many gigs together. Really one of my favorite choirs. What we'll do is we'll do Cloudburst first, and then we're going to sing Virtual Choir 4 second. Now, I know that some of you have the sheet music, right? But I think there's been a little bit of a misconfusion. So misconfusion, confusion? I'm talking like a congressman. It's this thing already. I could be president one day, yeah. A lot has changed since I was 17. So what we'll do with Cloudburst is we won't sing along with this part, but what I'm gonna do is we're gonna sing the first 5 minutes or so that is a cappella. You can absolutely sing along quietly where you're at, but I'll be facing this way. Where I'll really need you is when we get to the Cloudburst section itself. And there's two things. You won't even need music for it. But first, does everybody have this little blue light that comes on a keychain? Okay, I got this idea. Let's see if this works. What will happen is we're gonna recreate a rainstorm, okay? Yeah, but here's how we're gonna do it. So if you'll take your light and start it like this, what you'll do is you're gonna lift up here, okay? And don't turn it on, then turn it on and down. Down, on. Like this. Yeah, there we go. You get it? Okay, so then here's the other thing. That's with one hand, right? Your other hand, I'm gonna need you snapping your fingers. Make sense? Good. Now, let's make it even more fun, shall we? Let me see if you were born in January, February, or March. Great, you are number 1, all right? So when I turn to you and I go like this, you start this and you start clicking, okay? This will all make sense. Then let's see, March, April, May, June. You're number 2. Other people are like, yeah, June. My parents did it in September. No, okay, so. Does nobody else do the math on that whenever there's a birthday? Like, so June, July, August, September. Where are you? Yeah. Good. So you'll be number 3, and then finally, who's left? November, December, October. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You'll be number 4. Okay. So what we'll do then, gang, is at each one of these times, I'll turn number 1, then I'll turn again number 2. Number 3, number 4, and then we'll all be in. And then at some point, I'm gonna turn and I'm just gonna do this. And what that means is stop trying to do everything and just put the light down and you'll just snap your fingers. Make sense? We'll try to make a little thunder here. So we're gonna sing a cappella for about 5 minutes before we get to this moment. This is a poem by the Mexican poet Octavio Paz. And it's truly, truly beautiful. Basically what he's saying is we must dream aloud, we must dream with our hands, we must dream of a burnt earth, dreaming of rivers and water. So this is Cloudburst. You ready?
Hay que dormir con los ojos abiertos. Hay que soñar con las manos.
Hay que dormir con los ojos abiertos.
Soñemos sueños activos del río, buscando su cauce. Sueños del sol soñando sus mundos.
Hay que dormir con los ojos abiertos. Hay que soñar, soñar en voz alta, voz alta, que cantará.
Thank you. Thank you. Sound fantastic. The lights are cool, right? It really works. So, gang, now let's do Fly to Paradise, shall we? So that's the other one here. Just a little setup on this. I'll cue you as much as I can. We'll be singing not only with the choir here on stage and everybody here in the audience, but we'll be joined virtually now. This was Virtual Choir 4. 8,000 different singers from 101 countries will also be singing along with us as we do this. It didn't occur to me, I have to say, until they were introducing me and I was getting ready to come up, how beautiful it is that we're singing a song called Fly to Paradise. And you're all here from Paradise, California. That's incredibly beautiful. Our hearts are with you guys, and we're so glad you're here to sing with us. Ready? Everybody ready for this? Okay, here we go. Is it playing, guys? There it is. And let's turn it up, please.
And all she ever thinks about is being any other place than this. 'Cause she remembers having wings, but she's forgotten what it's like to feel a paradise of bliss. And all I want to do is just and all I want to do is
sound good?
Wonderful. Wow, thank you, everybody. That was magnificent. I think we changed the world today, one note at a time. Bravo. Thank you to the Riverside Choir. Thank you so much. You're fantastic. Paradise Choir, the Butte County Choir, you're fantastic. All of you. Please stick around. In about 15 minutes, we're going to start an encore of the remarkable Deep Field film that Eric has produced with his wonderful soundtrack. So settle down and enjoy that film. But most of all, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for being part of the Grand Rally. And remember, together we keep music education strong. Thank you so much. Wave goodbye. Wave goodbye to the webcast. Wow.